Poopy Pants. Oh, is that not the name of the app?
That's the first thing people are going to hear in this recording is Poopy Pants. So congratulations, Nick.
Poopy Pants. Poopy Pants. Yeah. I mean, if I was a web developer, I would make some kind of app called Poopy Pants. What would it do though? What would Poopy Pants do?
Oh, Poopy Pants? The app?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it should have something to do with securities fraud. I think. Like you are like bouncing your IP or your, I'm using words I don't even know what they mean. You're bouncing your proxy off of many different places in the world and then doing trades and doing financial crimes with it. That's called Poopy Pants.
I think Poopy Pants, the app, should be more of a social media platform where people that have had like accidents as adults, they post about it.
No, here we go. Poopy Pants is an iOS or an Android app that uses whatever available API is still there from Twitter. Because they deprecated all the good ones, so you can't use like third-party apps. But like, I'll scrape all of the ones that are there now since the X period, and just like make a really bad Twitter app and just call it Poopy Pants.
I mean,
like it just shows you what's trending.
It just shows you what's trending.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty poopy.
And like maybe like, and then there's always an Elon Musk tweet at top.
This is a brilliant idea. I'm gonna. I want in. I want in early.
Okay. Yeah, I'm taking Series A funding now, whatever they call it.
But before we get to our funding, this is we are back to Star Wars. My name's Chris,
and I'm Nick.
And today we're gonna talk about a couple of topics. The way our format has been to meander around something.
We already started doing
We've
that.
already started.
I already meandered from the scheduled meander.
Yeah, we now schedule in our meanderings before we even get to the topic. So if you don't want to hear this, you could probably just skip along to get to the actual Star Wars.
I pencil in my poopy pants.
Every poopy pants should be scheduled. Poopy pants.
Everybody poopy pants.
Schedule your poopy pants. But today these things, sometimes the way social media, the way we see it, people word things in such a way that they get stuck in your head. And one of the things that gets stuck in my head is when people say, normalize blah, 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 or we all need to stop doing this, or, you know what I'm talking about, Nick? Do you know those types of posts?
Oh yeah. It's very much like normalize a thing that I do.
Yes. And they really annoy me because I'm just like, leave me out of it. I don't want anything to do with that. It's fine if you want to have your like weird behavior that society doesn't accept. Like, can't you just deal with it? Why do we all have to be brought into that conversation?
Yeah, what does this have to do with me?
Yeah, so what does this have to do with me? So I just...
It's just like, also like, live your truth. If this is a thing you want to do, and I know we're going to read through some of these things, was like, some of these things are, just do this and don't ask for permission and shut up about it.
Yeah, so if you want to go, like, let's normalize going to see a movie by yourself. I've done that before. I think it's fine to do. And that might be one of the most practically acceptable thing to do by yourself in public.
Sorry, going to a movie by yourself rocks.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to normalize it, because if you don't think it's normal, you suck.
Yeah. Let's normalize.
Is that me having like a back door around?
You kind of did it.
I kind of did normalize it, but from a like, but mine was a little bit more combative. It's like, it's not that like I'm bowing, I'm begging you all to not think I'm weird. It's more like, no, you're the weird one.
Yeah. Yes. You are weird.
Yeah.
And I think that's better.
So I just backdoored the normalizing.
You figured out a way to get into it. But I think, what was I going to say? It's like, it's like, it's social. It's bringing in activist type persuasion into basic, normal, everyday things.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the activist world, it'd be like, we all need to do this. And it was probably about some kind of political thing.
Yeah.
And then this is just about
Normalize going to brunch.
Normalize being drunk on a Monday night.
That was like 2017 stuff. Like normalize going to a protest instead of brunch.
Yeah.
You know, you took me out of brunch. You're in trouble now.
Yeah. So I don't really understand it. I do understand it, I guess, but I don't approve is what I'm trying to say. But I found this list on BuzzFeed. I'm not going to say what list it was, what it is.
Do you know, this is a podcast about list now. You ever listen to that podcast? It's 3 comedians and they read lists.
And
so
we're going to do that.
We're doing pod about list. Yeah.
This one is, let's normalize having STDs.
I love this one.
What do you think about that one, Nick?
Quit saying that having the clap is gross.
Yeah.
Like that's if you are turned off by my herpes, that's ableism.
That's your problem.
That's ableism, man.
Yeah. So are you so let's normalize having STDs. We should all be trying our best to practice safe sex, but it's always everything before the but doesn't matter. But stigmatizing STDs keeps people from seeking out help.
You know, there is a community out there that says that exact thing. It's just like, well, being like not wanting to have sex with me because I have an STD is ableism. You know that. You know someone is out there saying that.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Can we back up? I know we don't want to get on the misogyny wire, but I got to read one because I'm going to backdoor the misogyny here. But women having body hair, it's our bodies and our decision to decide what to do with it. Once again, no one's putting a gun to your head.
Personal choice.
Go ahead, dude. Like, you don't have to make the rest of the world like buy into the thing that you're doing. Like, just do it. Also, here's the thing. I think body hair is gross no matter the gender. So normalize not having body hair. How's that?
Having not a single hair on your body.
Yeah. Just completely bald
Barren.
from the neck down. You know?
Yeah,
no more. Like, yeah, I like my beard. I look dumb without a beard. So I kind of have to have that. But like, if I could just be completely naked as a jaybird, if I could be in my birthday suit just as God made me from the neck down, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't care. Why do I have to have butt crack
so slippery?
Hair?
Like,
what the hell is that about? And it's like, well, you know, it's to protect you from bacteria. I'm like, well, it's fucking skin, dude.
What's the evolutionary purpose for that, Darwin?
Yeah, I think body hair is gross on everyone. So there's my what am I being? Am I like anti-naturalist or something? Yeah, it's gross. Normalize no one having body hair. There we go.
All right, I like that. I appreciate that. All right, here's another one. Going into stores, looking around, and not buying anything. Normalize that.
The hell? I do that all the time. Because guess what? In the e-commerce age, stores don't have anything in them anymore.
Why are you in there?
Did this. Well, I was looking for.
No, I'm like they're like looking at you like, why are you here? Why aren't you buying it online?
Dude, I went to Walmart, which should have everything, and I was like, I really need dog food, and I'm in a pinch, and they didn't have my brand, so I walked in, saw they didn't have my brand, and walked right out. Who cares? They didn't have the thing I want. Of course, I'm gonna walk out.
I actually did this recently, because they didn't have what I wanted. Mm-hmm. Do I feel a little bit weird?
I have to buy like a courtesy item?
Should I have to go to the front manager?
Because you don't have the thing I want, I have to buy a courtesy item? Here, how about this? Normalize peeing there and not buying
Normalize peeing.
How's that?
Wherever you want.
I'm not buying anything, and I'm gonna use your restroom.
All right. That's a good idea. I mean, okay, normalize being a virgin.
Yeah, I mean, this really depends. Like, I feel like there's many communities where this isn't fine and normal. You know?
Yeah. But Vic, there was a movie called 40-Year-Old Virgin, so it's obviously there's a stigma.
Yeah, but like most of that movie isn't even about getting him laid. It's like this guy is kind of a huge dork. It's not about like, oh, haha, he's not having sex. It's like, no, he's just kind of.
I think it is about him. Literally, he's a dork and he hasn't had sex.
Yeah, I mean, he tries a lot in his early life,
Yes.
and then he just kind of gives up.
No, it is. A lot of it is just that Steve Carell is like really. He's a funny like dork.
Yeah, he's just he's very lovable as a dork loser.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, okay. I thought I read this totally wrong. Okay, I'll still read it. Choosing not to touch or be touched in certain situations. Declining to hug, touch, or
What?
at first I thought it was like, oh, if I don't want to be touched, like if I don't want to be affected emotionally. Physical touch.
Okay, normalize not wanting to be physically touched.
Yeah.
That's just called consent, brother. Like, I don't know. I'm not being touched unwantedly a lot. Maybe this is more of a woman thing, right?
Maybe
this is like, hey, stop being a creep. Like, and I just check my male privilege there. Here's another one.
Yep.
On here. Being introverted. I'm sorry, but like being introverted is normal now. People do not talk to each other. People don't leave their homes. And I had to go look when this article was published, and I thought, oh, is this like 2018, 2019? No, this is 2021.
Oh, wow.
Like, that is the norm now after COVID. People, there's some study like we used to spend 6 hours a week with people who are not our friends or family, people who are not our coworkers and family. And like on average, a normal person spends 6 hours a week. Now it's like down to less than an hour.
Yeah. I mean, the nerds won. They got what they wanted.
Yeah, they got what they wanted. Like, we are ruled by introverts. Like, we are cajoled, and we are under the tyranny of introverts. So fuck off with that.
Yep.
You guys won. Because there's always the I'm a homebody. The kitschy little home signs like, I'm such a homebody. There's nothing better than canceled plans. Oh, you'll see me on the couch at 7 p.m. drinking my hot, warm, cozy tea and on my blanket. I'm like, shut up. Shut up. That's not weird. It's not normal. That's just everybody does that now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear the bell of, I just need to, social interactions. Why do people want? No, nobody cares. You're whatever.
I'm not like other people.
That one
I'd rather
pisses
just stay home on a Friday night.
I hate canceled plans. I hate canceled plans. If we're going out on Saturday and even if you give me plenty of notice, I'm still not happy.
You're thinking about it that night.
I'm not mad.
I was supposed to be going out.
I'm not mad at you because I understand. Because I have to cancel plans too. I'm a dad. Whatever, things happen, but it sucks. I'm not happy about it.
Normalize canceling plans, even if it's at the last minute.
Oh, people do that all the time.
People do normalize
that.
It's pretty normalized.
Again, we're living in that world. We are living in that world. It is weird to follow through with your fucking plans with your friends. That's weird now.
So are these posts?
You're getting me all high. You're getting me all hot and bothered with this.
Jesus.
Jeez.
Oh, the maker.
Jeez.
Oh, golly. So is this a sign that all these posts work? Everything that people have said to start normalizing has come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Kind of. This post was quote unquote doing the work.
It was doing the work. It was very prescient. There's another one here that I'm targeting you, Nick, with this. Having your young children misbehave in public.
Yes. Normalize this.
Yes. Definitely normalize.
Yes.
Having my child misbehave.
Yeah. Here's the reason why I say this. They have to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. You have to get your reps in, right? Like, to use the kind of like the life practice thing. Ooh. You have to get your reps in, and how else do they learn what to do in public? And also, like, and there's a difference between letting your kids run wild in a place where they shouldn't versus your kids are loud and you are dealing with it, right? Because as a parent, I found like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like, if you are going out to dinner and goddamn you want to enjoy 20 minutes of a meal where you don't have to deal with them, and then you give them your iPhone, everyone's judging you for that. Now you go out and you don't give them the iPhone and they get up from their chair and they run around and they scream and they, and you're chasing them around, which I'm usually like, Wally's not much of a iPad kid, so we kind of walk around and we're active. And normally the places we go, we choose to go because of that, right? We don't go to like fancy restaurants. In fact, there was one restaurant we went to where I'm like, this is not for us to have a toddler in, and we kind of just had a cocktail and left. Like I'm considerate in that way, and I know there's parents that aren't, but we have to like normalize, and I've been very consciously compassionate to other people when kids are crazy, because I know what that feels like. So I do not judge. I don't scowl. And just like, usually I just kind of smile. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you guys are here.
I think it's
because they need to get to, how else, am I supposed to lock my kid up until they're 15? And then what? Then what do I do?
No.
How do I get them to know what to do in a restaurant?
No, I liked how you said, you got to start somewhere, because they do have to, you eventually got to try to do it, and it's probably not going to go like extremely well the first couple of times.
Like my nephew, I don't think ever went to a restaurant until he was like 8 years old, like maybe like 6, 7, or 8. I was like, my mind was blown.
Wow.
Like how, and he was fine, obviously he was an 8-year-old, whatever, how old he was. But like Wally has been, I don't know, we go out like almost once a week with him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good for you guys.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying like, you can't damn them if you do, damn them if they don't, because if you have your kid out there with an iPad, chances are that's the kid's only iPad time of the day. So if you're seeing like, well, everyone's got to have iPads. And I was like, yeah, I would like to eat my dinner. Is that okay with you?
I was given the Ring of Power, and I'm going to use it for just a little bit today.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And we always there's always mom and dad guilt about that kind of stuff, because we're made to feel guilty about giving our kids media. But like, guess what? If you take it away, he doesn't scream and cry. If I turn off the TV with some warning, right? Usually I'm like, hey, we're going to turn this off after this is over. Talk to him like an adult, right? It's usually fine. And so when he wants to have a meal in front of the TV, I'm not a monster for that, right?
I do it all the time. It's probably more about not wanting them to get food in certain places of the house rather than just never being able to eat in front of the TV. But
I need to empty the goddamn dishwasher and take a shit. So you sit there and watch Beauty and the Beast.
All right, maybe we got like one or two more of these before we go back to Star Wars.
I'm going. You're getting me riled up.
I know. Okay, this gets me riled up. Normalize visible tattoos and piercings in professional settings. It's already been done. This is. What are you?
How old is this person? 60?
Like, yeah. When did you start going to work? Like in the office? Are you working in like?
Are you a priest? Is this my father-in-law? Yeah.
Yeah.
How you gonna get a job?
How are you gonna get a job with a tattoo?
With all them tattoos. Oh, he was a nice guy though.
I wouldn't give him the job.
If there's a friendly person that's got a lot of tattoos, my father-in-law has always been like, well, he doesn't look like he's nice, but he really is. Like,
that's charming in a way.
It is. Yeah, that's from another time.
Yeah. Okay, Nick, did you have one of these that spoke to you on this list before we switch?
Yeah, normalize farting, dude. Farting in public. Do it. Let her rip. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
I've tried to be better about that. Farting in public. You can't hold in forever sometimes.
It's not good to. Normalize not explaining your choices to others. This is the entire crux.
Yeah.
If you didn't explain your choices to others, you wouldn't have to ask me to normalize it. If you would like to not explain your choices to me, then you also have to ask me to not do it. Like I'm sorry, that's like a paradoxical statement right there.
I was thinking there was something that
it's like, does it tickle your brain? It's like trying to think of infinity.
Okay, so normalize like you ever tried to think of like things to others, not having to. This is like, okay, so I always think when it comes to these stuff, like anything with social or societal pressure, my coping mechanism, because it's like we all face it and we all know this, we all instinctively, not all of us, but most people know what is like socially gonna get not acceptable. And some people have like a very low tolerance for that, and some people have high tolerance. I feel like I have like a normal tolerance, but my thing is like sometimes I'm like, okay, if you think about it, most people aren't really considering what you're doing. They don't really care and they're not noticing, like probably most of the time. And I had this thought once when I went to get a Slurpee. No, it's not a Slurpee, a smoothie. Okay, I was traveling one day. I was like out of a hotel. I was like, I'm just gonna go out and get a smoothie, and I just asked to get a normal smoothie. Someone took mine, and so I was left there without one. And so she just gave me her solution was to give me two. Because that guy didn't take his, he took mine. So she made me another one. And then he was like, you can have his too. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll save it. And so I was walking in.
She's trying to outdo the guilt of having to just toss in the
yeah,
trash,
you're right. And so I grabbed both. I'm just like, well, I've got like 2 extra large smoothies in my hand. I'm walking into my hotel room. And I walk into the elevator and there's 2 dudes in there. And I'm just like, this whole time I'm walking with 2 huge smoothies in my hand. I'm like, this feels weird, but like no one's noticing. As soon as I got into that elevator, both of those guys started making fun of me. They were complete strangers.
He's like, dude, you double fist in there, buddy?
Yeah, they were like, you got a couple buddies back in the hotel with you? Like, what are you doing? They were complete strangers too, and I was just like,
those guys rock.
I know. I was like, you guys both
are cool guys.
I know. I was like, you guys both rock for making fun of me for doing this. Here I am thinking like, no one cares. Like, oh, people noticed.
And then here you went and you started crying and you said, I don't have to explain my choices to you.
Normalize traveling alone.
Yeah. Normalize getting a makeup smoothie.
Normalize double fisting extra large smoothies. You're saving the one for tomorrow anyways. You don't have to explain that to anyone.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have a wild night tonight with them smoothies?
Yeah, dude. Those guys were awesome. I normally don't get that. Cool. I was in California, so that might have been why, because people in the Midwest are maybe too polite. Or like, I don't know. Is that in the Californians right into the podcast? Tell me, would you have done that? Would you have also been that guy to tell me about my improper behavior?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with region. I think those guys just were cool.
It's not regional, just cool dudes. No. Speaking of being a cool dude, Nick.
Oh.
You know what's cool? I think is cool is having a very convenient subscription process.
Yeah, that's cool to set something and just forget it.
I think it's cool. What really frustrates me is any subscription that I have that you have to do a manual process to cancel or to change it. It will affect me. It will make me reconsider if I even want to subscribe if I know that already, because sometimes you do have to cancel things. And that's just part of life. But that's why I like Magic Mind, Nick, as you know, the sponsor of this podcast, the Mental Performance Shot from Magic Mind. They have an amazing subscription because all you have to do is log in and go into your account and you can make really simple changes. So I subscribe because I can pause the subscription very easily. I can tell it to send the next package like as soon as possible. Like I can like already take the next interval and just be like, hey, send it now. I can skip one.
They should basically have a button that says "Gimme that."
Gimme that.
Hey, gimme that.
Can you give me that? Yeah. So that's like one thing I would say that is great about it is that the management of the product or like getting it or the subscription is super easy and convenient. Obviously, you're going to want the product in the first place to even want to get the subscription for it. So I will say that the product we've talked about before in this podcast, but basically it's just like this little nice shot with mainly matcha, but a lot of other amazing ingredients that give you a nice complement to your coffee and whatever your caffeine regimen is. I drink it daily. Nick, how you been doing? Are you still on your daily regimen?
I'm double fisting, bro. You know, I get my mental performance shot and I get my sleep performance shot, bro. And I carry both into the elevator so that cool guys make fun of me.
And if they do make fun of you, like, whatever, it's their loss.
Yeah, dude. Well, also they're cool, so I'm like,
normalize having 2 shots a day.
Normalize having both. normalize having both kinds of magic mind for daytime and nighttime.
Sleep elixir.
And I tell you, the nighttime, with the sleep elixir. I don't know if are we even supposed to talk about the sleep elixir? I don't know if they're paying us for that one, but I'm loving the sleep elixir. You know why? Because it keeps me asleep. That's my problem.
Nick, don't tell Magic Mind this, but you wouldn't even have to pay me to talk about the sleep elixir. Don't tell them
I wouldn't even have to. Yeah, shh. You wouldn't have to pay me to talk about any of this. But you don't have to send me free product to talk about it.
You don't even have to send it. I'll talk about it.
I would pay for it. Yeah, I'll pay for it.
We won't tell that to Magic Mind.
Please keep the coupon going. But yeah, I will pay for it again. But I have that, Apple Watch lifestyle. I wear it to bed so I can sleep track. And the orange spikes on the graph are where you fall asleep. Or sorry, when you wake up. And I can't do anything about that. That's just, I'm jolted awake. I have fewer orange spikes when I take my sleepy time.
And I bet you feel more refreshed during the day.
I sure do. I wake up refreshed just in time to have a mental performance shot.
That's the next. It's one shot to the next, man. You have to take your shots.
I'm living shot to shot.
You're living shot to shot. Me too. So yeah, you get this is. I'm a fan, as you can see. I think you guys will like it too. So you should go to magicmind.com/SWLC, and you can get up to 40% off with our code SWLC20. And that will be good for the rest of this month of February. So make sure you guys get on that and go get your Magic Mind.
Go do it.
Go do it. But with that, we are going to get back to Star Wars finally. 27 minutes into the pod.
Normalize talking about Star Wars.
Normalize meandering and normalize starting off with your meander.
Listen, podcasts are supposed to be like the good podcasts are parasocial relationships, right? You turn the headphones on to hang out with the friends you don't have. And what happens when you set out to talk with your friends? You meander, right? Unless you're like 65 years old and you meet all of your other 65-year-old friends out for breakfast, and then you have a printed out agenda. Have you seen this, Chris? Does your dad do this? I don't know if your dad's
like
that
a printed out agenda, like for getting coffee
or
something with your buddies, like your war buddies.
Yeah,
have you seen this? No.
My father-in-law does this. I've seen like a lot of jokes online about old guys that do this, and like somebody's young daughter goes to show up with him is like, "What's the agenda?" Yeah, you haven't seen this with the guys that have printed out agendas for hanging out with their friends?
No.
It's kind of a boss move.
I think it's cool. I think a perfectly laid out agenda. That's you're seeking to have a better friendship.
It's kind of what we do.
It's kind of what we do. Yeah.
We plan on our talks. They're typically not that spontaneous, and then we have an agenda, and then we meander, right?
That's right. So
and Chris has to rein it in.
Rein it in, producer Chris. Come on. Yeah. All right. So I just finished reading Heir to the Empire, which I know you guys have all read it.
Heir
to the Empire. I'm sure that many of you guys have listened to this podcast, have read this book. Many of you probably haven't. I have read it for the second time. I did the audiobook. Nick is showing he's got
those are the sequels.
He's got the sequels he just showed, which I'm going to be reading next.
Yeah, I forget. I lent my original. No, actually, these are Alex's, by the way. These are not mine.
Oh, thanks, Alex.
Yeah, I never gave them back to him. But I did. I lent Heir to the Empire.
I thought the only book he owned was the Bible.
It's the only one he quotes. It's the only one he retains.
Yeah. Well, yes. Oh, he loves to bring in. R.I.P. Alex.
He's not dead.
I know he's not dead. I wouldn't be saying R.I.P. Alex if he was.
We don't want to start. We don't want to start rumors.
No. Would never want that. Wouldn't want podcast drama. Can't handle that. I can't handle that. All right. So I wanted to talk about the book, and I want to do it through the lens of those social media type of quotes that people make. Like, we need to stop saying that all Joruus C'baoth wants is power. So that's the first one.
Normalize not thinking Joruus C'baoth wants power.
Yeah.
Also, we were talked about this off pod, but like you were the first person I've ever heard say his name out loud, and I was like, how do you know how to pronounce it?
It's because I listen to the audiobook.
It's because you listen to the audiobook. Also, I always thought of it like more of like a Semitic name, more like a Hebrew or an Arabic. So I was always saying C'baoth.
C'baoth.
And like maybe doing even like a little glottal stop in the apostrophe, like
Yeah.
one of those. But hey, Joruus C'baoth, and then also there's Joruus C'baoth, the one with the extra U.
And that might be the guy that is actually the one we're talking about, because one of them is the real one and the other one is the clone. What? Oh my God.
What? Are we ever going to get Joruus in canon, do you think?
No.
No, really?
I don't think so. It's not. It's too far.
They've already explored the Jedi going mad and kind of going sideways.
You've got to be more prominent, in my opinion.
I think they've already explored too much of the Jedi being a bad person or being like going off the deep end. But Joruus C'baoth, he kind of went Looney Tune.
Yeah, he went a little Looney Tune because he was the clone of Joruus C'baoth. So I believe the Emperor cloned him.
Yes.
And Nick, do you remember how that all happened? Like, why did he clone him? Why did he?
I honestly can't remember. You're going to have to jog my memory. But I do want to give myself some clout because I did have my first go-around of reading this was the graphic novel, by the way. And I know it's in a box somewhere in my basement, and I've been looking for it for years, but it was dope. The graphic novel of Heir to the Empire is cool.
Yeah, so I don't remember, to be honest, why he was cloned, but the thing with this saying that
somehow Joruus C'baoth
returned.
Somehow.
Yeah, and his job was to guard Mount Tantus, which was a stronghold for Emperor Palpatine. He left a lot of his nice toys there, and it was his job to guard them. And the reason why I say that we need to stop saying that all Joruus C'baoth wants is power is because in the book, Grand Admiral Thrawn wants to recruit him to help enhance his army or his battle tactics with the use of battle meditation. They don't call it battle meditation in the book, but later on in the lore, that's what people would refer to it as. And it essentially just gives all of the troops on your side really good vibes and all the troops on the other side really bad vibes. It just boosts your morale, and it kind of enhances your alertness, makes you a better warrior, and it gives the fighting forces a lot of cohesion. So the problem is that if you use this power like a lot with your troops, they're gonna get accustomed to it, and then if you don't have it, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, what's happening? I can't do it. I can't do nothing. I'm stupid." So that kind of happens. But he does intend to use them in that way. But in the book, C'baoth, like what he's really interested in is he's like, I just like being a tyrant of my little planet and my little village. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about what you're doing, Grand Admiral Thrawn, because Thrawn's trying to recruit him by saying like, "Oh, world conquest. You get to be in charge of thousands of worlds and millions of lives." And he's like, "Don't care. I don't care about that."
He's kind of like he's that bad guy, the Joker archetype bad guy, just like, you think I care about money?
Yes.
And like lights the money on fire. Like he's that kind of bad guy.
Yeah.
Psychopath.
He's a psychopath, and he only really, he like wants that personal power. He wants to dominate like intimately, not over scale.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so he
wants to guard what matters most, really.
Yeah,
like he's got his lot in life, which is kind of like a quintessential. What was the name of the mountain again?
Mount Tantus.
Mount Tantus. That was kind of like a proto Exegol, in a way, because
that's a good point.
It was sort of like where are all the baddies hiding? Like where's the next dark side energy going to come from? Like it's sort of that idea.
Yes.
So there's another reason why
It's like,
become
where's
canon.
our backup switch? Where's our backup located? Mount Tantus.
Right. Unless, they could bring him into the canon in the Mandoverse in some way, where like maybe we introduce the idea of Exegol, and maybe Joruus C'baoth is like some guy on Exegol. Huh? Maybe.
I like the.
Maybe.
I mean, it's cool to think about. I like the character a lot. I like that he's not really a Jedi, so it's not just another one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Another Jedi. Are the Jedi bad? Like, no, he's just like, what if a Jedi went insane?
And also, like, we didn't have a whole lot of Old Republic lore at this point, because this book was written in 1994, right?
Early 90s,
something like that. Maybe
what I remember.
It was like between 90 and 94, if I think. So Clone Wars was just something that they mentioned.
Just and
that was, and I don't think there's any, because this is really the first extended universe. So there isn't this idea of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant having all these younglings, and some of them turning bad, most of them getting killed, some of them getting. So really, this was actually why it would be interesting for him to be canon, because he's outside of that template that we see a lot. That is kind of all we see now is what happened to this kid in the temple, and did he go bad or die? Or hide.
Order 66 missed this one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and there's just like, we're finding a lot of kids that made it out of Order 66,
Yeah. All right, so now my next point, and I thought that I would bring this up. I realized that I didn't really explain the book from more of a bigger perspective, or more about generally. I kind of was like,
you are really starting from the middle with this one.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be familiar with this book already, but
yeah,
that's fine.
But I can tell you, here's one that I wrote just to talk more about a general point about the book. And this one is, imagine if every plot was simplified and condensed around a few story threads and a small cast of characters. So that's kind of like the collective action thing. Like, imagine if everyone did this. So compared to a lot of other Star Wars books, and honestly a lot of sci-fi books, this felt simple and condensed because maybe, I guess to say partially because I knew who all the characters were, like, and you would too if you're reading this. Like, it's Luke, Leia, Han. So, like, really,
it's a couple years after Return of the Jedi. It's not very long.
Yeah, so we don't need a lot of
it's like,
we don't need a lot of juxtaposition. We don't need a lot of explanation. It's basically just, hey, this is a couple years after the destruction of the Death Star. There's this new guy that's kind of taken up the throne. He's the heir to the Empire.
The Imperial Remnant, which they have definitely, obviously they've ripped that out of here and turned it into canon. And then, love our Steve, I wanted to call him Steve Zahn for a second there. Timothy Zahn, our lovely inventor of the extended universe. He was not the first. I know he's not the first, but he essentially kind of perfected it. Went on to write more books about Grand Admiral Thrawn, but this was essentially where he brought the character to life.
Yeah, and Thrawn, I would say it's like really the main characters are Thrawn, Luke, and Leia, and then I would say that Han, C'baoth, Mara Jade, and Card are tier 2, and then Lando and R2 are tier 3. So there's not that many characters that you really need to focus on, and there's a clear tiering. And I even put like C'baoth in tier 2 just because he's really important, and the scenes that he was in were really impactful, but he's not even really in the second half, like almost. But yeah, like I think you read this book, Nick, and I remember we talked about it before. It was one of the earlier Disney Star Wars books, and it was really about Leia, and it was about like how getting the New Republic going.
Yep.
I just remember I'm just like every chapter. Sorry, I'm not remembering the name of the book, but I just remember being like, oh, another new character I'm being introduced to, another new character. It's like
another one.
And another one. I don't need to know the perspective of like every person in the galaxy. Like it's just the fact that this book centered on the main players, I think made it a lot easier to not get stuck and not want to like put the book down.
Yeah, another thing, like this is a trailblazing book in many ways, and I know I'm getting kind of off your topic here, but it was the first mention / depiction of Coruscant.
I didn't know that.
Luke, yeah, this so Timothy Zahn invented Coruscant, which
that's crazy.
Became so Timothy Zahn brought a lot of new things like from his brain into Star Wars. People don't give him enough credit, but or I mean, plenty of people give him credit. There is a very heartbreaking sequence towards the beginning of the book where Luke is basically having his last transmission, force transmission from Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Like basically like you don't need me anymore. And it's like it's kind of a bummer in a way, and it's very sad. Because like he's essentially telling Luke like your storyline and mine are done.
And that's a brave, I think it's a good decision though, plot wise, to just say, hey, this guy, he's saying goodbye. A final goodbye, I think, is very impactful. We don't know how to do that enough. There's another. People don't do that enough in modern storytelling. I guess because you and I are both Marvel fans. They can't die, right? Like Marvel characters don't die, right?
Yep.
And nothing ever ends.
They don't. They just they create another Earth number for that.
Yeah. So I think it's in these days, and anything that I see where they give something like a definitive end, a closure on something, I like it. It's not really closure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being like, oh, it's done.
Dang, I'm seeing a very compelling mock-up of Snoke with a beard, and just saying like that should have been Joruus C'baoth.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it could have, and honestly, because
it would have worked in the timeline.
It would have worked. I think like with respect to the character, like, and the fact that they just like offed him, I feel like it would have been a easier character to kill, because it's like he's just a madman. Like
hey, and it's a clone. We don't like completely understand why he exists.
Yeah,
too.
He's
right.
Yeah, he's kind of the fact that he even exists is kind of a bastardization. It's like it's kind of bad.
Yeah. Dang, they should have just made him Joruus C'baoth.
They should have. He's way cooler. All right. So another aspect of the book that I really liked was the underworld and like the smuggling. Those types of characters I thought were really well done, particularly Talon Card. So this one is like, we need to stop saying there's no honor among thieves. And this is one.
He's the one with the cool ship, right? He's got kind of like a really cool ship.
He's a really cool compound, but I don't know about his ship yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he's like the leader of a big like smuggling ring, and he's an information broker, but it is a little bit hard to pin down what his principles are all the time, because he's willing to let Luke be killed by one of his associates, Mara Jade, who is out to kill him. They capture Luke, and Admiral Thrawn is trying to capture him. And they're supposed to be working together. Card is supposed to be like, hey, if you need anything, I'm there to help. And when Thrawn explains that he wants him to help him find Skywalker, he doesn't tell him about it. So there's a betrayal there. But he's like, I'm not going to tell him I'm not going to give them to the Empire until I know what they want him for, because I need to know what he's worth. And I'm not going to sell him until I know what his market value really is. So he's really like cunning like that. But at the same time, cunning and like kind of like, that's kind of evil, right? Like he's not being very nice. It's not a very nice thing to do. It's not like a good guy thing to do, right? But at the same time, there's another scene where Han and Lando end up on this guy's base, right? And he refuses to give them up to the Imperials when they come visit his compound, because he says they're my guests and they have guest privilege. And he knows that very well. If if Thrawn were to find out, which he will find out because he's Admiral Thrawn, that he's going to be killed. And he even says in the book, like, I know that what I've done is my death sentence, but because he's so committed to his principle of guest privilege that he will not give them up.
Yeah. That's like some Game of Thrones shit right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought so too.
What do they call it in Game of Thrones? It's like the right of hospitality or something like that. That it's bad luck to kill people that you have housed in your house.
Yes.
So housed in your house, yeah. That's why spoiler, when the Red Wedding happens, they've basically that family is doomed.
Yeah, they're cursed after that.
May not be today, it may not be tomorrow,
But on the other hand, you could the interesting thing to me about this is like, is it a moral thing or is it just smart or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, scoundrels, like, we need to stop saying there's no honor among thieves. I think thieves have honor when it gets them somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Also, and we can also acknowledge that getting someone somewhere, quote unquote, can just be, I have feelings, right? Like, I feel this way about somebody, and that's enough for me to not, rat them out.
If it would make me feel bad to do it, then I don't want to do it. Even if it's not logical. Yeah. Like, maybe it is logical, but it's like, look, it would make me feel pretty shitty if I gave them up to the Empire.
That's kind of where the honor is among thieves, right?
Yeah. But it's also in a way practical or it's a practical because if you got a reputation for doing that sort of thing, you're only going to have clients that are the Empire now. Like, yeah. And even sometimes you will find in some books and some movies or whatever, he's like, oh, why would I want a traitor on my side? Mm-hmm. Even if you betrayed them to me, it still kind of shows that you have no character at all. No principles. So it's principles. It's good to have, I think a narrative. It's really useful and really helpful when you have a character that has some kind of like hell-bent principle like that. It makes things interesting. This is on the same lines, but because of what we've been exposed to, I feel like in the Star Wars world and in other properties, this to me stuck out. It stood out with this book, and that was, let's make it normal to be a bad guy with admirable qualities. So
yeah, I mean, that is kind of overdone nowadays, I think, with anti-heroes, with Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Like, there's a lot of that with. But
that's the protagonist, bad guys. You kind of that's the main dude.
They're not really.
No,
but yeah, sure, yeah, kind of.
Well, with Breaking Bad, Walt is the protagonist.
Yeah, true. But he's definitely.
I think you're giving an example of two really, really good shows, though. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. I was like, it's overdone. Let me
give you examples of two excellent shows
two shows where this is really great. Yeah. No, but I think they have definitely hammered this home in the depictions of Thrawn, both in Ahsoka and in Rebels. It's like, this guy is not a megalomaniac. He's just, kind of autistic, It's like, he's just a very, very smart bad guy.
You wish, there's nothing about him that says he couldn't, I thought about this earlier today. I was like, what about him couldn't make him a rebel if he just happened to be on there, if he happened to be on the other side? There's nothing about his person.
Sure.
I mean, sure, maybe he'd be like, hey, you're a little fascist, man. Like, you take it easy.
It's like the dry logic.
Yeah.
Dry logic states that I should be in charge, because I think things would be better if there was order.
Yes.
It's
a little bit, but other than that,
it's a little fash, but also it's not just like, I like the pain, right? He's not that.
No, he's not maniacal like our other guy.
No.
But it's not even super clear why he wants the Empire to win, but he really does. So he's on that side.
Yeah, I think it's more of like, I think it's kind of an order type thing. I think his admiral, his
admirable
admirable
admiral.
his admiration
Say that
of
5
art
times.
and the
Yes.
beauty in the galaxy, I think is just like, well, if we leave this up to the not godless, but if we leave these up to
I
the
kinda like that,
rabble
though.
rousers of
Yeah.
like, if every individual planet and system was up to them to cultivate their culture, they wouldn't do it correctly. I will do it correctly and make sure that it's cataloged and I can go visit it and admire it from my chair exactly how I want it. Like, I think it's almost like the collector in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, he's not killing any of those people, but he's certainly not doing them any favors.
And he's basically saying, like, in a very dictatorial or fascist way, he's like, I know what's valuable. Like, I say what I believe is valuable. And like, even in terms of art, I'm not just going to say like every culture is equal. I'm saying that your art sucked. Cause his, I don't know, Pelion, if he's a general, he might be a general, but his main dude, his number two, is Pelion. And he asks him about, you did this, you dealt with this planet. And then he's like, well, what? And Thrawn was like, yeah, their art sucked. And then Pelion was like, well, oh no, actually he said their art told me nothing about them. That was like one of the first times that their art told me nothing about their culture and about how they are. And he's like, oh, well, what did you do? He's like, oh, I vaporized their planet. And the chapter ended. I was like, oh shit.
The planet was called Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
It was called Brooklyn. You know what I did? Yeah. I fucking blew it up.
Yeah. I saw one too many beanie-clad baristas, and I said, you know what? That's enough.
Yeah, too many sociology degrees in that zip code. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this next one was Normalize sending Grand Admiral Thrawn the last known location of Luke Skywalker.
Normalize.
I was imagining if I was on the social media team for the Empire, that's what I'd be. That's my social media strategy.
Once again, another thing that has definitely been normalized with Disney canon is just like locations of Luke Skywalker are very important. Yeah. Like they're the entire like MacGuffin for the first movie. They're sort of the kind of the crux of the second of the Last Jedi. There's a lot in the Mandalorian about where Luke is. Like, it's very much it's a thing we keep.
Where's Waldo?
Again, Timothy Zahn basically invented excuse me, Timothy Zahn invented all of the Star Wars that happened after the 90s, essentially.
There is the group of people that are like, why didn't they just make this the movie? Why didn't they just make this trilogy?
Because all the characters are too old. Because this is supposed to be a couple years after, but we didn't make the movie until 30 years after.
Yeah, and I think they didn't want to be limited.
That's I'm oversimplifying that answer.
But that's valid. But it's also like when you've started to point out to me how many similarities they are between the
They've pulled plenty into canon.
Yeah.
And also they wanted to pass the torch. They didn't want to just have, here's our 3 people again.
Okay, this one was very vindicating, I think, for you and me, Nick. Normalize traveling alone in your X-Wing to visit a swamp planet when the Force is guiding you to go there.
This is one of the coolest things of, like, again, inventing more things that the Force does. We always talk about this, like what the Force does and what the Force doesn't do. And he basically does. There's a scene where he's doing like a Force meditation, so he can. Is it so he can breathe less, right? So he can use less oxygen.
It's like a coma. They go in.
He puts himself into a coma so he can slow down his metabolism, not need as much breathing, and like it's while R2 works on the ship. Yeah, and then R2 has to wake him up.
Yeah, and he basically he's also unconscious, but he will know the passage of time.
Yes,
which is pretty sci-fi.
Doesn't R2 have to wake him up when the wild card shows up?
And it's like very grating. Yeah. It's like very it's not fun.
Yeah. I thought that was a very cool Star Wars thing. Like, and I would love to see, who kind of gets there is the Mandalorian. Like, isn't there a thing where he has to sleep in the cockpit of the N1 starfighter I feel like there's one where he's like, we got to sleep now, Grogu. We have to sleep.
I don't remember. Man, there's a lot of episodes of that show if you think about it.
There's a lot of Star Wars
There's
now.
a lot of
you know?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Back in my day, think about the person in the 90s knowing our reality.
Well, think about me reading this book and like realizing that a lot of this makes it to the big screen or to a TV show, and like the audacity of me complaining about it. You know,
I know you. That's how you. I'm a little bit different than you. I'm like, if they don't nail it, then I don't really want it. I just want it to be perfect. But
then also there's also
not
like,
everything. Not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect.
In the post Skywalker world, we kind of have to see what sticks. I don't know what works. And to be honest, a lot of stuff doesn't.
Well, if they actually
didn't work
take that
for a
track,
lot of people,
though, then I'm okay with it because that means they're actually trying different things.
And they are like the Acolyte wasn't for a lot of people. Skeleton Crew, I have mixed feelings about. After the ending, it was a little bit of a lackluster ending. But it certainly was it was worth existing. Again, another story of what happened to the kids after Order 66, and another one of those.
Yeah.
But I thought the mystery was fun and all that, and then we're pulling different things from the Zahn trilogy essentially into reality, and not all of it works.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
All right, next one here was Normalize hitting on your best friend's wife, because they, give it credit to Timothy Zahn. He still left a couple paragraphs for Lando to hit on Leia.
Lando's got to shoot a shot.
He does. It's just instinct at this point. It's like telling a dog not to run after a car.
Yeah. Yep. Right. It's trying to tell. It's telling somebody to not breathe oxygen.
Shoot or shoot. He's a dog.
Mm-hmm. Shoot or be shot.
But this time the Han didn't have an issue with it, and Leia was she was concerned because Han didn't notice this time. Usually he got mad at Lando hitting on Leia. This time he was just like, whatever. Which I thought was pretty funny.
It's just like, dude, we got lots of other stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about your safety, and I'm actually kind of relieved that you're with my friend now and not the Empire. The Emperor. Yeah, the Empire. Okay, so this was a cool moment in the book, or at least pretty telling. It's okay to kill one of your subordinates if they make excuses. So this is sort of along the lines of principles as well, and like what does make Thrawn tick. And there's this really, really cool scene where Luke gets caught by Thrawn's Star Destroyer, and he manages to get away by using this really crazy maneuver that basically tricks the tractor beam into not understanding like what's going on. Like it just tricks the tractor beam. They like rearrange the power and do all this weird stuff. And like the tractor beam just like doesn't work. And so they're able to fly away. It's super risky because like it could destroy your, it could end up in like exploding. And also you can't use your,
could explode
you. And then you can't use your, you can't use hyperspace again after you jump. So you're basically dead in the water after you use it. But right after that snafu, Thrawn goes into the command deck and is like, "Who was responsible for the tractor beam?"
The fuck, man.
Yeah, and this like
he basically said, "The fuck."
The fuck. He sends a reply, and so these like. Basically, the guy who was handling the tractor beam says that, well, I wasn't trained for that scenario. And that guy got eaten by Nogri. So you don't make excuses to Admiral Thrawn.
No. Well, you're pretty much done.
Yeah, you're done. You're finished. All right. It's okay to have mercy on a smuggler who double crossed you. Yeah.
It goes without saying.
That's fine. He still tries to figure. So I told you about Card earlier, and he's trying to figure out how can he get away with it. Like, how can he apologize? And he's like, maybe I could steal a New Republic warship, and maybe that will make up for it. And that was cool foreshadowing by Zahn, because later on in the book we find out that the main mission was actually to steal warships So I don't think that apology would have worked.
That happens in the comics again, getting pulled out.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, okay.
They steal Star Destroyer, and it's kind of cool.
All right, we're almost to the end. Only a few. There's only like 2 more. All right. This one is: it's okay to take a break from your political duties while you're pregnant and doing Jedi training.
You know what, Chris? Coruscant is the only planet that doesn't have paternity leave and maternity leave.
They don't.
So, and I think out of all the developed core worlds, I think that's a travesty.
You think that the rebellion, the alliance, would allow for some time off?
There's a lot of like means testing liberals there too, and they're like, well, you have to earn it, you know.
And that, you know who the gatekeeping?
It's like, you know what? Who doesn't earn it is the wealthy heiress to a planet that was destroyed.
Yeah, so it's funny because she basically sends a PTO request to Mon Mothma, and she denies it.
Just like denied.
Yeah, denied. It's like, no, we need you right now. We need you doing diplomacy. Need you to do diplomacy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Mon Mothma, brutal boss.
Man, always the same. It's always the ladies doing it to themselves.
That's true.
Too, right?
All right, and last one. Imagine if not every space battle had to involve 1 billion ships flooding the screen or a planet-destroying laser. This book didn't have any of those.
No. They had this book was very much the small world feel of Star Wars. You know how in the first, when we watched the original trilogy before they did the special edition, it felt small. It felt like nobody lived there. It felt very lived in, right? It was very dirty and dingy, but it's like there's nobody around ever. And then in the prequels, there's like cajillions of people. They have Coruscant. They have this teeming city.
It's a metropolis.
Heir to the Empire is very much condensed to a few people again.
And I like you. That's an awesome point because the vibe is like it's sort of sparse. It's everything's very spread out. You could be very.
And that's kind of the
alone.
case when you're on the run, right? When you have stuff where you're on the run, you're sort of going to places.
You feel very isolated a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good quality that this book had, is to make you feel like that. Whereas with the Rise of Skywalker,
it's intimate, a little bit more intimate.
Yeah, the new stuff, it's like there's people everywhere, and it's a whole big galaxy out there with all kinds of people. It's like this one, it's like no, you feel very alone.
Yeah, the whole big galaxy out there.
Okay, that was all of my. Those were all of my topics. Those were all of my we need tos. We need to normalize is. Yeah. These are all my activists.
Disney is listening to you, man.
They did listen. They finally
somewhat.
Yeah, not all of it, but a lot of these did make it in. Like you mentioned, you were showing how a lot of these calls to action made their way into modern Star Wars.
What are you going to call this episode? Normalize Heir to the Empire?
I think so, Nick. We need to. We all should.
It's a provocative title too. It'll bring people in.
It's going to bring in the people.
It's like, ooh, what does Chris mean by that?
Yeah, I better listen so that I could trash him on Twitter or something, or Substack. I'm so angry that I'm going to go subscribe to his Substack and share it with all my friends.
Yeah.
Which is what you should all do. I'm so mad that I'm going to give him 5-star rating on Spotify. Gosh.
Oof, I'm so mad. I'm going to use my coupon code.
Don't make me give
Magic
you a 5-star.
Mind.
Oh, use your promo code. I will.
What is that promo code? I'm so mad I can't think about it. I can't remember it.
Don't put me on the spot, Nick.
Well, you can edit, Remember that thing that you do that you cut?
No, I don't do Nick. I don't do that. That's other shows, not this one. God.
Yeah, you do.
But in case you're wondering, it's SWLC20.
There we go. Ooh, I'm so mad. I'm going to do
I'm so mad.
20. Oh, so mad. I'm going to go to magicmind.com and I'm going to get my mental performance shot and my sleepy shot.
I'm going to get such a good night's sleep because of the show.
Ooh.
And with that, we've been back to Star Wars. I've been Chris Higgins.
All right. Ooh, I'm so mad. I'm Nick Oswald.
And we are going to wish you... we are going to wish the Force to be with you.
Oh, I'm so mad. I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm so
I'm
mad.
so mad I'm going to stop the podcast.
Ooh.